Battlefield Hardline. Turns out it's not just a perpetual source of leaks, but an honest-to-goodness video game. And you know how I know that? Because I actually got to play a couple hours of multiplayer. And it's pretty fun. I mean, yes, it's definitely a Battlefield game, but it's also got some interesting things going on. First, there's the map design. The one I played on was a downtown Los Angeles map called High Tension. And it's not the biggest map in the world, but it's definitely got the most verticality to it in terms of Battlefield. There's just so many layers. You've got overpasses, underpasses, multi-story parking garages, skyscraper rooftops, and getting around all this stuff with the new grapple hook and zipline gadgets is actually really fun. Two items that work across all 4 classes. The grapple hook lets you climb ledges where there's no ladder, while the zipline lets you quickly traverse wide gaps without the risk of tumbling to a grisly death. If you're playing a game mode like Blood Money, where you're running around with a bright red duffel bag full of cash strapped to your back, avoiding surface streets by ziplining between buildings can be a pretty effective tactic. It's also just fun because it's a frickin' zipline. Next up, vehicles. They're still here. It's a Battlefield game, so there's vehicles. One difference, though, is that they feel a bit more forgiving. Take the motorcycle, for example. Not only can you bash through guardrails like it was nothing, you can also do these little wall rides if you get close enough to a vertical surface. Bigger vehicles seem a little more durable, too, at least in so much as they don't explode on impact if you collide into something at more than 10 miles an hour. Plus, there are special vehicles that act as mobile spawn points, which is pretty cool. But one word of warning, it might take a little while to get used to the fact that all those other vehicles parked around downtown LA are just for show. You can't get in them, don't even think about it. So what about the game modes? What's new about those? Well, I got to play 2 of them, Heist and Blood Money. To be honest, Heist feels pretty similar to Rush, at least in the way an attacking team has to crack 2 vaults, while the defenders try to stop them. The difference being that once those vaults are cracked, the attackers then have to transport a pair of briefcases to 2 different escape points. So there are some minor differences, but the whole flow doesn't really feel too different from Rush. Now, Blood Money is different. This mode is really cool and seems to do a great job of tapping into the whole cops and robbers setting. Basically, there's this pile of cash in the middle of the map, and both teams try to take that money back to their own armored trucks. The thing is, you can skip the cash pile and go straight to the other team's truck, so there's a whole lot of back and forth going on. It's one of those modes where you're constantly weighing risks. Do I take the time to grab another $100,000 even though I hear enemy footsteps? Or in another situation, do I help a teammate getting shot up even though I'm loaded with cash? And it's all made better by the fact that you're not powerless when you're carrying around that money. You can run at normal speeds and drive vehicles. It all feels like a bigger, kind of sloppier version of that famous shootout scene from Heat. And that's Hardline's multiplayer in a nutshell. There are some fun new tweaks, but, you know, for better or worse, it's still very much a Battlefield game. Want to know more? Well, be sure to head back to GameSpot in the near future for more details on everything from class differences to the progression system, so stay tuned.